Fellas, is it still cool to use Flanger in 2024? Or is it kind of like Barney, a little outdated? You have fond memories of it, but, you just don't really need Barney in your life anymore. Well, Barney the Purple Dinosaur would very much like to tell you that Flanger is pretty cool. And you can use it today. You don't have to just leave it in your past. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Why Flanger is cool and why I have this Boss BF2 Flanger, which looks pretty stinking cool in this camera angle. This Boss Flanger pedal is the second Flanger pedal in Boss's Flanger lineup, the BF2. It has controls for manual, depth, rate, and resonance, and it has an on-off switch, which is nice and quiet, like a Boss. Oh, man. The rubber is kind of dying down here. The foot switch, which is a little sad. I should probably replace that gasket. This pedal's been around the block. This one's definitely from like the end of the 80s. This one is on loan from my friend Daniel Thomas, who borrowed it from his friend Michael Weber, who borrowed it from his brother. So if you guys need it back, let me know. But I'd like to buy it. I'd like to make an offer on purchasing it. Yeah, this one definitely seen some more corrosion. It's from the same lot of pedals that the CPL is from, or like they're owned by the same person. But the Boss definitely looks worse for the wear. It's definitely more pitted and more abused. So the finish on the Boss has held up worse than the Ibanez. So what does that tell you about Boss and Ibanez? It's bulletproof Boss construction, mostly bulletproof, not corrosion proof though. Again, you access the battery door by loosening the screw. Everyone who's owned a Boss pedal will know. We got some nice little spongy foam in here, a little spring battery clip, and then the good old switch for the Boss to activate the Boss buffered bypass. Now, say what you want about the Boss buffered bypass, but I happen to think that it sounds fine, at least for me, and that really the people who complain about it, you guys are cork sniffers. Like, it sounds fine. And actually, I think it sounds better with, like, when you have good cables or cables with a little bit of capacitance. The Boss buffer does a lot of wonders to preserve the clarity. Maybe you're losing a little bit of dynamic range. Maybe you have a different treble response, but I happen to think that it sounds pretty darn good, in my opinion. So I don't mind the Boss buffer. Okay, this pedal has input jacks on the side, or jacks on the side, quarter-inch inputs. They're nice and metal. We have a 9-volt power jack, center negative DC on the top. It draws not very many. It's an analog flanger, so it uses bucket brigade technology. And I'll show you the inside in a little bit. Let's see. We have the Boss foot switch, like I said, and we have 4 knobs, like I said. So let me explain what the knobs do, because I think people get confused about flangers. Depth and rate are pretty self-explanatory. So rate is going to control the rate of the LFO. So how fast is the LFO modulating the delayed line. So basically flangers, choruses, and to some extent phasers and vibratos, they all work by the same principle, where you take a signal and you duplicate it and you delay that signal a little bit. And then instead of just passing that delayed sound back to the user without doing anything else to it, you take the amount of the delay time and you make it wiggly. And then how fast you're wiggling it, that's controlled by the rate. How much you're wiggling it, that's controlled by the depth control. And then where the center point of the wiggling is, right? How long does the delay time start without the LFO? That's controlled by the manual control. So you can kind of go between a more flangey type of flanging, or you can make it more like a chorus pedal as you turn it up. So the longer the delay line is, the more it sounds like a chorus pedal, right? So a flanger is modulating the pitch just like a chorus pedal. The difference is just the delay time. So a shorter delay time sounds more like a flanger. It gets more metallic and kind of... And a chorus is less like that. It just sounds like pitch, the pitch changing in and out. The resonance control basically is the feedback loop of the delay, right? So on a delay pedal, you can adjust the feedback to kind of make more repeats, make the repeats kind of go again more than just one. Because normally on delay pedal, it's like if you turn the feedback off, it's like, and you send a signal in, signal, right? But if you turn up the feedback, it's like signal. And if you turn it up too much, it's like signal, and it starts distorting, right? So that's kind of what the resonance control does, is it just allows the signal to be fed back into the input, and this makes it sound really metallic and ringy, and it's very cool. Now, flanger is really easy to overdo. We really use the poo out of these things in the 80s. You would hear it all the time, a lot on clean tones, a lot on dirty tones. Some of the best examples of flanger. Eddie Van Halen was one of those people who loved the flanger pedal on the song Unchained, for instance, is a fantastic example of the flanger pedal. It just sounds so cool on that song. He made it, and he like turns it on and turns it off. And he's using the MXR flanger, but you can get pretty close with this one too, I found. So yeah, flanger is great. I think I'd almost prefer it to chorus a lot of the time. Just using it really subtly with the resonance turned down, turn up the manual, turn down the rate, turn up the depth. I like to just add a little bit of movement to my sound, and sometimes it's nice to do that and the flanger makes it really easy to do. So let's hear some sound examples, and then we'll come back and wrap up. Welcome to the playthrough portion. We got the Squier Jazzmaster running the Curtis Novak JM wide range in the bridge, going through the Universal Audio Dream. My pedal board is on the floor after the BF2, so we're going guitar straight into BF2 and then into my pedal board. So got the Jackson Golden Boy, Boss SD1 for overdrive. We've got the Friedman BEOD for distortion, Electro-Harmonix Ram's Head Big Muff. We got a compressor from SP Comp, or from Xotic, the SP Comp. And we have delay and reverb from the 500 series and the Universal Audio Dream for amp. And we're using the EV cab on that. So yeah, let's check out the BF2. And then turn it on. So you can hear it's not a very transparent sound, but it's definitely doing some stuff to the EQ, but that's okay. So now let's add some depth. Immediately you can hear kind of the wetness coming in. pretty hard to, it's a very subtle thing. So what I'm hearing is kind of as I turn it up more, it starts to sound more like a chorus. And as I turn it down, it starts to sound more like a flanger. So it's a very, very subtle thing. The amount of delay here is very tiny. So it's hardly perceptible. You can kind of hear it sounding more like it's doubling the guitar when it's cranked all the way up versus down here, but it's really tough to hear the difference. Mostly it's a very subtle kind of adjustment here. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Let's adjust the rate control, and you'll kind of hear that. That's pretty obvious. It's just the speed of how much it's modulating the delay. So let's hear that. So yeah, and you can make it really fast here in a sec. Let me show you that. Okay, now let's mess with the resonance control, and this is going to add a feed. It's basically going to allow the output of the flanger to go back into the input. So it's going to mix in some of the output to the input, and this will create this kind of ringing resonant sound. This is kind of the jet plane flanger sound. It's very obnoxious, but it sounds really cool into distortion. So let's hear some of that. It's such an insane sound. That's like the jet plane flanger that people talk about. Let's make it insane sounding. That's TikTok right there. let me do one last little thing, which is do kind of some funky stuff I think would be kind of fun, and then we'll conclude. I've got the Xotic SP comp on the medium mode, full compression blend, so way more compression than we had before, and then we'll get the flanger going. Back. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at the Boss BF2 flanger. I really enjoyed it. This is a green label Taiwan version. Oh, I was going to show you the inside, wasn't I? Let's look at the inside of this pedal. And we won't be able to say much because I'm not Josh Scott or Brian Wampler or Graybox Electronics or Mike Piora. But it is cool to look at it, so. Okay, when you remove, this is the back, this is what the back panel looks like. It's green, the green label, it's made in Taiwan, which I think they're made in Indonesia now, the Boss pedals. We can see that we have this plastic backing to protect the traces of the board. Boss really does single layer PCBs really well. Look at how beautiful those traces are. That's pretty darn gorgeous. Weirdly, there's a big hole. So maybe someone did something to this, but yeah, I just love the look of this. And it even has labels for like, what's a 9-volt trace? What's a 5-volt trace? It labels all of the I/O on the board too. You can see those numbers right there that kind of tell you, you know, where different things are going. But look at how beautiful those traces are. Really cool. Now you can kind of, I want to be careful with this board because I don't want to break anything, but inside, there's 4 Bucket Brigade chips. Well, actually, there's this cool Sharp one, which is an IR9022. There's a bunch of film caps, a bunch of transistors, some Nishikon. I think those are Nishikon electrolytics. I'm not sure if any of these are leaking, but this pedal is pretty old, so it might be time for a service. It does have 3 trim pots. I'm saying all this without showing you any of it, but that's what the inside looks like, and I think it's pretty darn sick to look at the inside of this pedal. These are really cool. These are really cool components that are real. They're through hole. They're large. Not that we have to have components like this nowadays, but it is a bit of a shame, you know, to go from something like this to something that's all surface mount. That's hard to modify and repair. Whereas this can be done by, you know, we're losing that kind of age. And I don't want to sound like a boomer and be like, everything they make today is crap. But SMT components are definitely harder to work on. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Boss BF2 flanger. It's a cool pedal. You should go out and get one. Old pedals rule. They're really fun. I don't have the box. Am I going to survive? Yes, because I'm not Josh Scott. Yeah, this is a cool pedal. I think Flanger is still a really cool pedal, effect in today's day and age. So go out and make something cool with Flanger, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.